the radio shut off for a minute. I'm one in a million.
That could be funny part. I hurt my ankle. I think I broke it. Wanna go? You wanna come?
What?
You wanna come dance?
No, it's okay. Is it almost over?
Yeah. I don't know how to do that. We can actually stop because we have more editing to do. We have to. Now I have to see.
Lexi, stop it.
If I have